Wow. Hello viewers, and welcome to Exploring Cinema with Brian Meadows. I, of course, am Brian. So, I just got out of the Planet of the Apes triple feature, where we get to see everything in the, I don't know, I don't think it's called a prequel trilogy, I think it's called like a reboot series or something, but anyway, we got to see Rise, Dawn, and the new one, War for the Planet of the Apes. What, 2 days before it comes out everywhere else? Oh my god. I love this poster, I just have to brag about it. So as with my other reviews on this channel, I will make this completely spoiler free, so I will be as vague as possible with my actual thoughts. So, what is War for the Planet of the Apes? It takes place 2 years after the previous film, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and it basically showcases the confrontation between a society of highly intelligent apes led by the ape known as Caesar, and a human faction led by somebody only known as the Colonel, while the humans are trying to take back the Earth from the apes. Andy Serkis once again reprises the role of Caesar, the leader of the ape society, and I swear to God, he gets better with each performance. And in my last video, I argued that Andy Serkis needs an Oscar right now. He needs it yesterday. This was his best performance, in my opinion. I even think it was better than when he performed as Gollum, and that's saying something. Not only did Caesar look real from a visual standpoint, but Serkis helped to make him feel real. Even in Dawn, I could look at them and say, you know, as realistic as they are, I can still tell that they're computer generated. I actually thought that he was a real, tangible person. And I mean, even as an ape, he still had those humanistic qualities, and I would actually say that he gave more of them, or he showed more of those emotions and similarities to humans in this film. We're used to seeing Caesar with a sort of moral compass, where he has those qualities about him where he's more protective of his people, but because of how he was raised, since he was raised by humans, he still cares about them to a degree. But certain things happen throughout this film that make him question his values, and he actually goes down a much darker road than even I anticipated. I can say without a doubt that with all the movies that I've seen this year, the first name that I thought of for the Academy Awards next year for Best Actor nomination, the first name I thought was Hugh Jackman as Logan in, well, Logan. Andy Serkis deserves an Oscar nomination for this role, even more than he did in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And then we have Woody Harrelson playing the Colonel, and he's absolutely fantastic as the Colonel. He's terrifying, intelligent, and just, he's a great foil to Caesar. I was actually very impressed with how they balanced each other out. I wish I could give a little bit more with him, but I feel like anything else could actually spoil certain elements of the film, so I'm gonna leave it right there, but just believe me when I say Woody Harrelson does a fantastic job. We don't have really too many humans to focus on in this movie. This one's mostly centric on the apes, which I actually think is great, because that was one of the complaints that I had about Rise, and then I still kind of had a complaint about Dawn. I felt like not enough time was given towards the apes, and this one's pretty much all ape-related. And I still think, as I said in my last video, I still think Maurice is the best of the apes. Next to Caesar, he's the best character that we've ever had. And this one, you get to see more, an even greater emotional side to him, because they've picked up this little girl out in the wilderness, and he really starts connecting with her. We also have a new ape that came into this film. He's just called Bad Ape. I don't know if that's his actual name, he just keeps calling himself Bad Ape, but he's played by Steve Zahn. He's kind of a comic relief character, and I honestly didn't think that it was gonna work, and I had even heard people say that he was somehow put in just right, and I honestly didn't believe them, because I could see how dark this film was, and I just didn't want to believe that a comic relief character could work. And that was a big risk for them to put in, but it paid off tremendously. From a storytelling standpoint, this was an absolute triumph. And they didn't focus on exposition at all. There is one exposition scene, just one, and it involves the Colonel. Although, it was a much-needed exposition scene, because the stuff that was explained is not something that you can show. And if you tried to, it'd probably take like an extra half hour. And I actually think that this was one of the very few exposition-centric scenes that was needed. There were a lot of things in this film that I had always questioned, because I loved the original Planet of the Apes movie with Charlton Heston. And throughout Rise and Dawn, I was always questioning certain things, like, how are they going to pull this off? How are they going to explain this? And this film finally wraps up the biggest plot points that I wanted to know, like explaining how everything happened. And we finally get some of the biggest plot points from the original. They get explained. And, oh my god, I can't even think of a better way that they could have done it. And this film did answer a lot more questions that didn't necessarily have to do with the original Apes trilogy. Or, scratch that, not original Apes trilogy. And there are also some other questions that are answered, personal questions that I had, that you didn't really need to have answered for the original movie, but it was just stuff that I wanted to know, like, you know, were the apes that were around Caesar, were they the only ones that were affected, and were they the only ones that were hyper-intelligent? And we actually do get the answer by way of Bad Ape. And with that, we even get a look into the treatment of apes by humans, and there's a lot of Holocaust imagery, or references, scratch that. We also get insight into how the humans actually treat apes, because they've been taking them prisoner, which they show in the trailer. And I gotta tell you, there's way more Holocaust references and allusions than I thought that there was gonna be. There's one thing that people may be confused about, and I know a lot of critics have said that it shouldn't be called War for the Planet of the Apes. I do actually disagree. I think it's a great title, it still fits, and everybody's always expecting like that big climactic battle between humans and apes. Do we get it? Yes, but not in the way that you think. Speaking of in ways that you may not think, a lot of this film did feel predictable in certain parts, but the great thing about how it's written is that it's written in a way where you'll predict something, and it doesn't happen. Instead, something else happens that's either on par with what you thought, or better. And of course, the visuals! I don't know how else to talk about this anymore. The visuals in these movies are fantastic, and it got even better with this one. And honestly, I can't say anything more on this one, but the visuals are A+ grade. Somehow it got better. The visuals got better, especially with the mocap performances. The cinematography in this film, there's only 2 words that I can say for this. Fucking beautiful! Each shot is just so crisp and easy. They don't even use shaky cam, and that's one of my pet peeves when it comes to cinematography. It's just everything flowed naturally in this film. And recently, I've gotten a bit more of an appreciation for cinematography, because I didn't notice it necessarily as much, but then, and I had actually just been reminded recently by my girlfriend, but when we were watching La La Land in the theater, she explained to me how she viewed cinematography, and she said something along the lines of, if I'm looking at it and I want to make that scene into a poster, then that means they're doing a good job. For War, I wanted almost every single scene to be put on a poster just for me.
Just a collage of everything.
Just a collage of everything. Just Planet of the Apes, little tiny pictures all over this wall.
Like, this apartment will have wallpaper, and it's like the whole sequence of War.
Hell, if I didn't live in an apartment and it was just my own house, honestly, this entire wall or every single wall in our place, maybe even our bedroom, would just be filled with scenes from movies. And of course, somewhere I'd have a like a shrine of Star Wars shit. But
yeah, right.
Anyway, I'm getting off track. And yes, I would. Michael Giacchino returns to compose the music for this film, and there's nothing else that I can say that I didn't already cover in my Dawn of the Planet of the Apes one. Whereas I said that one, compared to that one, you felt remnants of the original Apes, or the original Apes film score, and you did in this one too. And then for Dawn, I said that score was better than the original score, which I thought is a basic masterpiece. War of the Planet of the Apes score is so much better than Dawn's. I didn't even know that you could top a masterpiece. And not only did that one top a masterpiece, it topped a masterpiece that topped a masterpiece. I don't know why I said it like that, it just sounded cool in my head. Listen, before I do my recap, I have to change my gradings. I have to change my, my grading for this. I'm not going to be using lightsabers anymore, which for this is obviously a blue. To recap, War of the Planet of the Apes is a masterpiece of a film. This is one of the best films that I've seen in a long time. It's got an Oscar-worthy performance yet again by Andy Serkis. Another great performance by Woody Harrelson. An amazingly, just flooring story. Hell, I've not cried so much in one film in maybe a decade. Great visuals, and a masterpiece of a score. I know I'm saying masterpiece a lot, but honestly, it's just, that's the only word that's popping in my head, but it needs to be said. So my new rating system will be similar to stars, but I feel like that's a little too cliche. So, however, even though I don't have the editing software to actually put it right down here somewhere, I don't know, I can't see myself right now. I'm assuming that I'm touching the bottom part of the screen, but instead of doing stars, since my logo is a film reel, I will just do film reels. So, whatever out of 5 film reels. Despite myself having a few nitpicks, just a couple of nitpicks with the film, because not every film is perfect, I still feel like it's enough for me to give a 5 out of 5. This is, without a doubt, a masterpiece, a perfect film. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening to me ramble on and on, because it's just that fucking great. I must ask you guys though, and I know that in certain places as of this video dropping, it hasn't come out in theaters just yet, so I actually do want to know, for those of you who have already seen it, what did you think of it? And for all of you who are gonna see it, just come back later and tell me, what did you think of it? Did you love it, hate it, were you indifferent? What were its strengths, and what were its weaknesses? Because honestly, you already know that I didn't find any weaknesses. I want to know what you guys thought. I welcome new perspectives. Be sure to subscribe if you have not already for more reviews and content. There is always more to come. And for other ways to help support the channel, please check out in the description down below. Thank you once again for watching, and farewell until the next video. Bye.